Welcome back to the Deconditioning Masterclass. So, in these next few videos, we're going to get into specific areas of deconditioning and how exactly to do that. So, we're going to start with the energy types. Now, we've talked about before, the first module, how deconditioning is nature versus nurture, right? So, we're going to apply this to the different energy types. Starting with generators, since they're the majority of the population, especially when you add in manifesting generators, we gotta start with them first, yeah? So, what is the nature of a generator? It's to wait and to build. The generators are the action portion of the collective. They have the sacral energy, they have the ability to generate this energy when they're doing things that they enjoy. So, they are the builders. But they need to wait and make sure that what they're building actually lights them up so that it's sustainable for them, right? So where does nurture come in? Generators become afraid to wait, right? Because in our society, everything has to happen now. We have to go, 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 no resting, right? That's really not great, even for generators and manifesting generators. Why? Because waiting is such a big part of their design and what they're here to do. Waiting ensures that they are spending their energy on things that they actually want to build. Because if they're not, they get pushed into their non-self. Okay, so the nature of a generator is to wait to respond, and to build. They don't need to pull things out of the ether. They don't need to guide people, right? It's to build. And if what they're building happens to fall into other categories, then that's something different. But the baseline is building and responding. And that all comes down to waiting for aligned opportunities, right? Aligned things to respond to, yeah? Moving on to manifesting generators. Even though they are a hybrid, right? There's manifestor and generator energy. That's what makes them MGs, right? Their baseline nature is still to wait and to build. However, because there is a little bit of manifestor in there, there can also be a bit of expansion, right? We're going to talk about this more when we get to manifestors, but a big part of what manifesting generators are here to do is be limitless. They're here to show us exactly what is possible for us when we are living in alignment. So part of their nature is to expand, right? They're gonna wanna push the envelope a little bit. And that, because again, coming back to nurture, that can almost get beaten out of them. So you really want to be aware of, if you're a manifesting generator, where am I not allowing myself to expand? Where am I putting myself in a box because of expectations from other people, right? Or what other people have told me, right? So, really important, the baseline nature of a manifesting generator, because they are generators at heart, is to wait. It's that waiting. It's waiting for aligned opportunities, right? Waiting for that sacral activation and then responding. Either we're building or we're expanding, right? But this is what it is. We're building or we're expanding, but we always want to wait. We want to wait for those aligned opportunities. We want to wait for that sacral activation so that we know that what we're building or what we're expanding into is actually aligned. Because again, if it's not aligned, we're going to be pushed into our non-self, right? Okay. Moving on to projectors. What is the nature of a projector? It's to wait and it's to guide. Now, waiting is really important for projectors, because a lot of the time we're talking about other people. Because the nature of a projector is to guide, because the nature of a projector is to see the things that other people oftentimes don't see, to get people where they want to go in the most efficient way possible, it's so important for you to wait. Because if people are not receptive to you, if people are not ready for you to see them that clearly, or for you to let them know that, hey, I'm seeing you this way, then you're not going to be living from your nature, right? You're going to be pushed into your non-self, which again is what we don't want to do. So what does nurture do to projectors? Aside from making them bitter, right? It makes them feel as though they are not valuable, right? They start to resent the ability that they have to see where something or someone can be improved, right? They get called busybodies, or they get called know-it-alls, right? They get told that they're doing things for attention or to make other people feel bad, when in actuality, they're just doing what their nature is telling them to do, right? They're guiding. But such a huge part of your nature is to wait. It's to wait for those aligned invitations. It's to wait for the people that you want to guide to let you know that they are in fact ready to be guided, right? To let you know, hey, I'm okay with you seeing me this way. Please help me get to where I want to go. You have to wait for that, right? And then once you have that, you're able to guide, you're able to step into your nature without the issue of getting pushed into your non-self, right? Now, moving on to manifestor. What is the nature of a manifestor? It's to initiate and to expand. Manifestors are the only ones with this baseline nature of initiating. Manifestors don't want to wait for anybody. We're probably moving a little too slow for manifestors, right? Because what they do is pull things from the ether. Information comes down to them, and their purpose, their nature, is to take those things and bring them into the physical for us to respond to, right? For us to reflect, or for us to guide. They are bringing the things that we need to respond to, or guide, or reflect. Which is why they can't wait for anyone. Because what they're bringing is what initiates our nature, right? So what happens when nurture gets involved with manifestors? We stop expanding. As a collective, we stop expanding. Why? Because our expanders aren't given the space to do what their nature is telling them to do, to take these things from the ether, to take this information, this energy, make it physical, so that we can then respond to it, so that we can then guide it, so then we can reflect it back to people, right? If that's not happening, if they can't initiate, then we as a collective cannot expand, because they are our expanders. They're taking the things from the ether, they're bringing it into the physical, whether that's talking about it, whether that's doing physical action to make it real and then handing it off. That is the expansion. When they bring it and they make it physical, that's when we begin to expand. And that's when everyone else gets to step into their nature. So the nurture for manifestors doesn't just affect them, it affects all of us. Because if they're not able to expand, if they're not able to initiate, what are we doing? Right? There's nothing new to respond to. There's nothing new to guide. There's nothing new to reflect. So the nurture of a manifestor is something that we should really all care about, you know? For manifestors, it becomes this, either I don't trust myself, or I don't trust the people around me. Either I'm gonna hold myself back, or the people around me are gonna hold me back, right? But if I hold myself back, it doesn't hurt as bad as if, someone else comes and holds me back. So before they do it, I'm gonna do it. That's where we get nurture for a manifestor. Yeah? So, moving on to our last type, which is reflectors. We're back to waiting, right? What is the nature of a reflector? It's to wait and reflect. The reason why it's so important for a reflector to wait is because they are experiencing so many different things day to day. They're completely undefined, which means every little shift, every little change in the energetic landscape, they feel it. We may be sensitive to this, but not to the extent that they are. We can never, I don't want to say never, but more often than not, a reflector is going to feel the subtle energetic shifts more strongly than a generator would or a projector, right? So it's important for them to wait so they can be sure, okay, is this what's happening? Is this going to continue? Or is this just, is this like a blip, right? Is this something that I need to bring to the collective? And if it is, then they can reflect it. They can say, okay, this is what I am anticipating happening. I've waited, I've gone through this process, I've worked through, this 28-day cycle, and this is what I have determined is on the horizon, right? Or even if we're talking, if we're taking it down from a large scale, if we're just talking about a family unit, right? Or even just a person. This is what I see you doing, and this is what I think you should do in order to not experience what I see coming, right? But again, it's waiting. It's feeling, it's observing, and then reflecting what needs to be known, reflecting the unseen so that we understand, okay, this needs to be tweaked, this needs to change, this is what we're doing well, right? So what's the nurture when it comes to reflectors? Are people actually going to listen to me? Because a lot of the times with a reflector, with what they're feeling, this isn't logically explained, right? You say, oh, I feel something on the horizon. I don't really have scientific evidence for that. It's just, I know what I'm feeling, right? So with reflectors, it's like, what if they don't listen? What if they don't hear me? What if they don't get it, right? What if I'm just going to be disappointed? Because, I don't want to do that, right? Especially for reflectors who feel everything so deeply. That disappointment cuts to their core, right? So the baseline, the nature of a reflector is to wait and then reflect. And this reflection part here, that's when we're supposed to come in. This is why reflectors are meant to be the center of a society. We're supposed to look to them because they feel things that we don't. This is why we look to the projectors, because they see things that we don't. This is why we look to the manifestors, because they're able to expand in ways that we're not always aware of. This is why we look to the manifestors. This is why we look to the generators and the manifesting generators, because they can work and build in ways that we can't. Each of us has a place in this circle, in this wheel. And when we're acting from our nature, everything flows really smoothly. When we're coming from nurture, that's when things get, bogged up and it's just starts breaking down, right? So as we go through these next few modules in the masterclass, I want you to keep this nature versus nurture conversation in mind. What is your true nature? And how have you been acting out of nurture? And where did that come from? So I will see you in the next module.